We're now going to break down some of the biggest highlights out of Tuesday's partisan primary election, and first going to start with voter turnout, because what was supposed to be a very sleepy election turned out to be exceeding expectations with voter turnout. There was roughly about 1.2 million voters who cast a ballot on Tuesday, and that was largely due to because there was two statewide referendums on the ballot. That's how we got those numbers. Those two ballot referendums that sought to reduce the governor's powers when he spends federal aid were rejected by voters. But looking at this shows a little bit that there's a lot of enthusiasm from voters when there really wasn't any hotly contested statewide race on the ballot, JR.
No, there are a couple of pockets, like in Dane County, there was a four-way race for county executive. There are a number of legislative primaries, but really with the amendments, it was kind of not a fair fight in a way. The groups that were opposing amendments raised about $3.5 million. The couple that were opposed to it spent about $260,000. Democrats were organized, they are enthusiastic, they made a stand. Republicans have gone to referendum more frequently in the last few years because Governor Evers thwarts them with the veto pen. They thought, okay, we can do it again. Well, Democrats said, okay, we've got a playbook now. We figured out a way, if they're going to put a question like this in a low turnout primary, we know how to beat them back, and especially if they're not going to spend money to counter our effort.
Also, another clue about what we could possibly see in November based on Tuesday's results was just looking at some of the wild counties, specifically Ozaukee. Once again, this was an election that you can see that area is really trending more purple after it was for years a very reliable GOP stronghold.
Yes, but I'm going to make the point that, again, it wasn't a fair fight in terms of resources, so I don't know that Ozaukee will look on November 5th the way it did this past Tuesday. I mean, honestly, Democrats brought a bazooka and Republicans a butter knife to this fight. So, but yet, I'd be worried if I were a Republican looking at the numbers that if these play out in November the way they did in August, you were in trouble statewide. Again, that's a big if, though, because resources were different. Come November, it'll be a fairly even fight.
Right, and what was also fascinating to see 45% turnout in just the city of Madison alone. We know that they have been showing up in big numbers lately. Like I said, yes, there was a Dane County executive race, like you pointed out, that maybe brought more voters to the area, but this has been a real area of concern for Republicans, given the young vote, especially on college campuses. We know Republicans have been trying to make inroads there, but if you're looking at 45%, that's not a good sign that you have some energy on your side.
And don't forget, 45% without kids on the UW-Madison campus right now, or Edgewood College, or any of the schools in Dane County. And oh, by the way, it's getting bluer. 82% against the amendment. Again, it was not a fair match in terms of resources, but we keep seeing Dane County turn out in bigger numbers and get bluer all the time. That is a problem for Republicans.
Another election headline is that this was the first election that we had under the new legislative maps that the state Supreme Court adopted earlier this year, and it pitted a lot of lawmakers, incumbent lawmakers, against one another. What are some of the key takeaways from there, JR?
Looking at it, we saw 4 primary races. Republicans were incumbent on incumbent kind of thing. We saw several incumbents lose because they took a shot for higher office. The big takeaway for me was the power of incumbency still matters. We saw there were like more than a dozen primary challenges for Republican lawmakers by non-incumbents. They won all of them easily. A big one was Dan Fine in Fond du Lac, challenged by Tim Ranth, who ran for governor a couple of years ago. I heard all kinds of angst in the weeks up to that race of, oh, he might lose. There's all this energy for these like patriot groups or MAGA, the ultra MAGA wing of the party. Fine won by 29 points. Republican lawmakers have told me over and over again they're getting pressure back home from this very loud vocal minority. We saw how small the minority is. In reality, with these races where incumbents were winning by like a dozen plus points in all of them. So my takeaway was maybe this crowd, this Stop the Steal crowd, is not as big as everyone's thought it was. The question is, will they keep trying to kowtow toward them in the next session because of what they saw this past Tuesday?
Also looking ahead to next week, a lot going on here in the battleground state and also the city of Chicago, because that is where the Democratic National Convention will be. Of course, we'll see from a lot of big players there, but even before that, we'll have Harris back in Milwaukee on Tuesday holding a rally in Pfizer Forum. That just follows on the heels of J.D. Vance being in Milwaukee on Friday. So a lot going on here, but of course this is once again a real test that they really care about this state.
It's also symbolic. So Trump was formally nominated as Republican president candidate at Pfizer. Now we have Harris going to the same exact place. We expect she'll try and fill the arena with people to show, hey, we've got enthusiasm. So again, we're one of like 4, 5, 6 states that actually matter come November, and they're going to see them here again and again and again to drive those messages about how important we are.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.